Hey everybody, it's just my opinion, Bob, and it's September 12th, 2025. Please keep that date in mind. This conversation may not be relevant in a week or a month or whatever, but it's relevant today. I'll cut to the chase right away and explain everything. The Chinese guitar factories, the huge factories over there that make copies and guitars for other people in all different names, they had been raided about a week ago, a little over a week ago, and they were being raided by the Chinese government. Now, let me explain. You're not going to hear about this news from the Chinese newspapers or the news sources because the Chinese do not have free press. They don't have free press like the U.S. does and a lot of other countries. So you need to know people that are living in China or you have acquaintances in China to get this kind of information. And yes, the factories were raided. There was product destroyed. There was machines destroyed. Some factories have been shut down, or sections of the factory. The people have been given a holiday, so to speak. That's what the managers told them. And it's pretty interesting what's going on. This kind of stuff happens in the U.S. when they find copies or things like that, but I've never heard of it over there. Then I was told it was the Chinese government that did this. And my first thought is the Chinese government, why would they give a hoot of what their factories are doing? And come to find out, Gibson employees were also involved in this. Now, I would imagine Gibson employees were there to witness or to verify what was being copied and what wasn't. And it was the Gibson employees from the Epiphone Chinese factory. That's how it all played out. It wasn't the Gibson employees from over here. So, long story short, there's a big shakeup on the copies, and it might be a game changer coming out of here. So I know a lot of you don't hear the copies or know anything about them, but I just thought I'd give you this information because there's a byproduct of this, and it's a twofold situation. The copies are getting kind of good. They're getting real good, and it's time to, the investor groups thought it was time to crack down. Let me explain about these investor groups. The days are gone when it's Leo Fender worried about somebody copying his guitar in China, or the Gibson family or worried about what's going on over there. Those days are all gone. All of these companies, Fender, Gibson, they're all owned by investment groups. This is the way of the times now, and there's so many companies, so many industries and businesses that work like this. They're owned by investment bankers. So you have a company like Gibson, you have a company like Fender, they each have their own investment bankers and own investment groups, and it's like a pyramid thing. And it keeps going up and up and up until you get to the top tier. And one company at the top owns a little piece of all of these. And of course, the main goal for these investment companies is to show a return. They've got to show a return, they've got to show a profit. They're useless if they don't, and it has to continuously grow. So they have to be careful of their assets. They want to make sure it's always showing production. So this top tier owns Fender, owns Gibson, owns any of the big companies. It's at the top of the heap, has a say in this, and that's how they got involved, because they don't want to show that their product is losing money when somebody else is making money. I'm really simplifying this, and I'm just trying to cut to the chase because I want to show the other side of this. This is all a result, as I said, of guitars being pretty good quality. Now, I'm not talking about raiding factories like Shahimo or Eastman, all legit companies. You know, they're doing what they do. I'm talking about the ones that are using production line, CNC machines, turning out bam, 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 cookie cutter guitars, and doing a fairly good job. It's no longer that piece of junk or that ore for a dinghy that they used to sell. These are coming out pretty good. So with that, if you look on AliExpress lately, within this week, last week, AliExpress, Alibaba, Temu, those guitars are not a giveaway anymore. They are not cheap. Guitars are getting very expensive from China. Of course, the quality's up there too. They're getting very good. And now they're even competing with a lot of the small in-house ones that do the labor-intensive work. So this is a real eye-opener. So many people, these small sellers, some of them have been touched, some of them haven't been touched. They only did a certain area in China, but I'm sure there's going to be more to follow. So a lot of them are a little leery of what's going to happen or what's going to take place, and I can't blame them. But oh, I see my dog's got an opinion on this subject too. So I guess we're just going to have to wait and see what comes out of all this. But this is pretty big news to me. Like I said, and I don't think we're going to hear about this anytime soon. I don't think, and just to emphasize this, let's just take Gibson, for example. Let's take a Gibson Les Paul. Is Epiphone capable of making a Gibson Les Paul as good as a Gibson Les Paul? Of course they are. They don't, because Epiphone is their secondary market. They're not gonna make a guitar that's as good as their main product. Fender Squier, are they capable in China of making a Fender USA guitar? Of course they are, but they're not going to do that. Fender is not going to do that and knock out that product line. Everything's got to go in steps. Everything's got a rung on the ladder. That's just how it works. And other companies have recognized this, just like Martin. Martin had to switch to Mexico, had to switch to high-pressure laminate. They had to find ways to increase sales so that they can run the rest of the company. You need volume and you need sales to keep your company running. So I guess this is all I really wanted to explain right now in this. And like I said, this is pretty big news. So if you have friends and acquaintances over there, I'm sure they've told you what's happened. And I know a lot of you may know this, and a lot of you may not know it. So just be careful, because there's a lot of residual effects that come from something like this. So that's all I guess I really wanted to say for today, and I'll be back with some more later. Thank you.